What's up, guys? Today we're going to learn the 8 most important guitar chords. These should be the first 8 guitar chords you learn, and they're not necessarily that hard. There's no bar chords involved, and if you learn all these 8 chords, there's so many songs you could play, thousands. You could probably even play basically like 90% of the songs out there, and you might need to use a capo, but yeah, so let's get started. The 8 most important guitar chords. Okay, so the first chord we're going to learn is E minor. We're going to do 2 fingers. I'm going to do first the first finger on the 2nd fret of the A, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D. And we're going to strum every string. So yeah, that's just the 2 fingers. You could also do it with the 2nd and 3rd fingers like this. So this probably is the easiest one. That's why I chose to do it first. Make sure that you're pushing your fingers down hard enough and that you're not blocking the strings. You want them to stand up nicely, because if they're kind of crooked like that, they'll cover the other strings. So the only real issue you might have with this is that you're blocking other strings. So just make sure you stand up those fingers, and it should be doable. And whenever you learn new guitar chords, I always recommend that you play the strings one at a time so you can see if they're all ringing properly. So let's do that. So that's good. Let me play it purposely with some issues, and then I'll show you how to solve those issues. So I'm going to do one at a time again. Okay, so we got a few that weren't ringing. That one is close. I just need to push that a little harder. That's the A string. Okay, I'm getting a muted note there. That's the open G. So that means I should raise my fingers a little bit, or stand them up more. And before, the high E string was muted, but now since I raised the fingers, it's ringing. And also watch that this area, your palm, the distance between your palm to the neck, you should have some kind of gap. You don't want it to be touching. That's a sure way to block it. So okay, so that's E minor. We're going to do the same method for all the chords. We'll pick them one at a time, the strings, to make sure everything's good. Let's move on to the A minor chord. So it's a 3-finger chord. Fret 2 on the D string, fret 2 on the G, fret 1 on the B. And this is the only fingering I would recommend for this chord. So 2nd finger, 3rd, 1st. So we'll pick them one at a time. And we're skipping the low E string. So we're just not going to play that one. Sounds good. All right, next one is going to be the E chord, E major. It's going to be the exact same shape, actually, but over one set of strings. So 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the A, 3rd finger, 2nd fret of the D string, and then 1st finger on fret 1 of the G. We're playing all strings. So yeah, make sure to check every string if you get some like... Whenever you hear that little buzzy sound, that's a sign that you're just not pushing hard enough. If you hear a muted string, then you're either really not pushing hard at all, or if it should be an open string, then that means you're blocking it with another finger. So always just make sure the fingers are standing up and your palm has some space. It's not touching the neck of the guitar. Okay, moving on to the A major chord, or just A. This has a few options for fingerings. It's fret 2, 2, 2. 2 on the D, 2 on the G, 2 on the B. We're skipping the low E string. So that's your first fingering. My usual one that I would do is this: second, third, and fourth fingers. It depends on the situation, whatever chord you're going to afterwards or you're coming from. And yet one more fingering you can do is second finger first, then the third. This is good if you have especially maybe bigger fingers. Having the first finger in the middle makes it a little further back, and so it feels less crowded. This is kind of the way that a lot of classical guitarists would do it. But I prefer those first two that I showed. But always do whichever one's the easiest for you. All right, that's A. Next is the C chord. This is the C chord. We're going to skip the low E string. So playing fret 3 on the A, fret 2 on the D, fret 1 on the B. So the G string in the middle there is open. And then the high E string will be open. So and for this chord, that would be the only fingering I would recommend. Fingers 1, 2, 3. Skipping the low E again. Sometimes you might play the low E string if it says C/E for the chord, but that's a topic for another day. 3 more chords. Let's do the G chord next. There's a few different ways to do it. We're going to show you the 3-finger ones first, but my preference is to do the 4-finger G chord. So here's how you can do the 3-finger. Second finger, the low E string, 3rd fret. First finger is going to be A string, 2nd fret. And then we can do the 3rd finger, the high E, 3rd fret. And all those strings in between are open. So this one has the most different ways. Once again, just check, make sure every string is sounding good. So that's the first way. Here's another way you can do it. The fingering for the same one. We're doing 3rd finger, 2nd finger, pinky, or the 4th. So the issue some people have with this is that it's a big stretch. There's not really a way around it. If you have small hands, like if you're a young kid or you just happen to have small hands, you can actually get a 3/4 size guitar or even a half size guitar, and that should help to play stuff like this. But you can stretch out the fingers over time and just get used to playing this stuff. It just takes some practice. It shouldn't be that hard once you get it. Okay, so those are 2 ways to do the 3-finger G. Now the 4-finger G. Some people find this one easier. We'll see which one you like. Play which one is easiest for you. Okay, so the 4-finger. 2nd finger on the low E, fret 3. 1st finger on the A string, fret 2. And then on the B and the E, B and the high E strings, you're going to do the 3rd finger and 4th finger. I prefer this for almost all situations. Probably 95% of the time I would play it like this. This would be the other one I would do sometimes. The one with the pinky, but no 1st finger. But pretty much always this one. I can think of one of my original songs actually where I do this one. Because it goes to pinky stays. But yeah, this 4-finger, hopefully it's not too hard for you, but just keep practicing if it is. And then let's move on to the last 2 chords. So the D, we're only playing 4 strings. We're skipping the low E and the A. This is how I like to show people how to do it. We're going to play fret 2 on the G, fret 2 on the high E. So do those 2 fingers first. And then in between, 3rd fret on the B string. And we're playing just from the D string downward. So if you put those two first, then you just got to put the one in between. And this, pretty much this is the way you always want to play it as far as fingerings go. Sometimes you would do it like this. Second finger, third finger, and then pinky in between. But really, that's only when you're going to a certain chord, a D/F sharp. But I would say, unless there's a song that specifically has that D/F sharp chord in it, do this first way that I showed you, the first three fingers. All right, and then the last chord is D minor. So fret 2 on the G, 3 on the B, 1 on the high E. And this might be an easy one for you to keep your palm close, but just make sure there's some gap. Once again, we're skipping the low E and the A strings. So those are your 8 chords. So yeah, hope you guys liked that. Those are the first 8 guitar chords you should learn. I bet if you look up any song, you can just Google songs like whatever song it is, chord progression, or just the song and then the chords. Most of the stuff you find should be those chords only. You might see some different ones, but if it has only a combination of those chords, then you'll be able to play it, or at least you can work your way up to it. So yeah, if you guys have any recommendations of what you want me to go over in some upcoming guitar lesson videos, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for subscribing, and check out the guitar lesson playlist that I have on YouTube. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.